Howdy. Okay, this is gonna be weird. So my intention is that we're going to we're going to walk through everybody's backstories as they stand, as far as what would be considered public knowledge about your character. We'll do that one by one, and then we'll go through again, and we will. I'll have you guys tell me anything you've worked on together. Uh, so I have notes on those relationships as you've kind of begun to form them, and then finally we'll finish making connections that don't already that need to exist that don't already, and we'll continue and we'll kind of work on this map. We'll um, I'll answer some questions the best that I can about the game, um, and what the plan is for the game, and that's that's essentially it. I don't anticipate us taking a full 4 hours for all of this, but we can do other stuff in 4 hours, I'm sure. Um, but
Uh,
hmm.
I don't know if you got me a character sheet or if nobody has character sheets yet, but
Oh, that's right.
yeah, that is
Uh,
something that I was reminded of just now.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if you had a one in the secret vault or not.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, we all been important.
Do you know how to import one?
I can look it up so it doesn't get in the way of your thing.
My turn.
Okay.
So go ahead. I can probably do that.
All right. And then just
Do I need a slot for a character in this one or no?
No.
Like a okay. Thank you.
there you go.
There it
And
is.
then just ping when you've got it there, and I'll add your permissions. Um,
I assumed correctly about what you were doing. I responded to the question that you asked as if I knew what you were talking about, and I guessed correctly. I feel good about that.
Would anyone like to volunteer to go first, or should I just put Adam on the spot again by making him go first alphabetically?
What are we doing?
I I can go
I
first 'cause I
will
have
take the bullet out of your gun and volunteer to go first. How about that?
Excellent.
Had also volunteered to go first before you yelled over him. So
Well, I had to get my joke out.
maybe you took the bullet from her gun and put it in your own gun and shot yourself in the foot, huh?
It's okay. Can't feel it anyway. It's fine.
Oh, fuck.
I'm so glad I accidentally set you up for that.
Oh, Adam, I'm looking at Gladys right now, and I want to die. She's
Just
so
so
cute.
good. Holy
Oh,
shit.
Thank
hold
you.
on. Uh,
Where is this?
Hold on. I'm working
And
on
roll
it.
20. I can see the icon at the
Oh,
bottom.
yes.
Oh.
Oh yes.
Well, look
This is
at
the
you.
best thing ever.
Oh.
All right, Adam. Let's hear about Gladys.
Okay. It's very long and involved, so everybody buckle up.
Oh, real quick. Remember, only things that you want the rest of the group would have been public knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody would know this.
Cool. Great.
She and her brother Thaddeus worked construction together for a while. And when she was younger, she and Thaddeus used that opportunity to case the neighborhoods that they were working in, as well as pinch goods from the various construction sites they were on. But Gladys eventually found her way to Hanera and became a devotee. And she now spends most of her time building homes and various other shelters for uh, people or organizations in need. She doesn't really have a lot of interaction with Thaddeus anymore. The end.
Okay. Good enough. All right. And what do you like? Besides, is there anything specific that you think she would be recognized for besides her work in construction?
Mm, no, I mean, I think that she's probably stands out a little and is considered a little strange because she spends more time on the ground and with the humble folk than um, most other of the bird folk other than Gallus. And so she's, you know, probably the combination of the fact that she's a Corvum who spends a lot of time on the ground and the fact that she's uh, constantly trying to, help out or, build something, she's probably easy to pick out from a crowd.
Okay, cool. Then moving down the list is Cody. We all know a lot about Hattie so far, but why don't you give me a let's hear it from you.
Uh, the like standard spiel, at least as far as when Hattie would introduce himself, is that well, yeah, he would introduce him as himself as Hadley Shadow Ruffle, although everybody calls him Hattie. Uh, he would tell you like gladly that he's the firstborn son of a gaze of Mapoks that are merchants called the Shadow Ruffles. Uh, his convoluted explanation for why he can do what he's currently doing involves a lot of logistics about birth positions and like matriarchal lineage lines. So as the firstborn, he was supposed to inherit like the council seat from his mother, and that would have been fine. But he's not super good at business or thinking too much about people management. Luckily his younger sister was, so they agreed and nobody really cared. And they essentially swapped birth positions is how Hadley would call it. So Hadley now gets to be the second son. She is the uh like first daughter. And because he's the second son, it means he gets to go for a wander. And yeah, you would know that he's been wandering for a while, at least as far as he has told. It's been a few years. He probably will sort of chatter happily about the best times we're living in in the deep darkness in like the Alderheart Forest, when he kind of lived alone for a while and tried to find his way purely by the stars. The other things about him, I guess, as he relates to the village, is that he does live in that little like shack, I think, down in the lower left-hand corner.
Over
Yeah.
here, right here.
Uh, he sleeps mostly in a bedroll. He only ever really goes inside if it's raining or if we're having like an ash flow from up north, which sometimes happens. I guess ash flow. It's just a cloud, couple clouds. Uh, his little like shack is mostly covered in like shelves with a bunch of like knickknacks. You could tell there's a lot of pieces for what he calls his like looking tube. But he hasn't been able to get the kind of supplies required to make one permanent, so he just can make one that lasts for about an hour before it breaks apart. Doesn't work anymore. Uh, the only other like major piece of furniture is this big table that he like drags outside most of the time when the weather's nice and works on. His fingers are almost always covered in charcoal because he does almost all of his writing in charcoal because it's cheaper than ink, and he has no money. Uh, he probably spends a lot of his days being willing and happy to help people like do what he calls contraptioning. In other words, put shit back together semi-functionally. And his days aren't used for much of anything besides sleeping anyway, so it's not that big a deal. He probably doesn't charge, which is a problem because he also doesn't have any money. So people probably do give donations occasionally, which he uses entirely on his map. If any of your characters were interested in the map, Hattie would gladly show you the map. His chart, which is essentially a 3 foot by 3 foot unfoldable cloth map that is on this kind of soft bluish cloth, and all of the constellations and stuff that he has in the process of charting, and the things he knows for sure are all done in combinations of silver and gold thread, carefully sewn into the map. And it's pretty clear from looking at the map that this would be why Hattie is completely poor. This is clearly a huge investment of money. And that map is designed to be able to you don't have to unfold it all the way to see parts. You can unfold bits of it depending on what part of the sky you're looking at. But yeah, that's probably enough about Hattie.
Mhm. Yeah, great. All right, June, you're next.
I'm next. Cool. So Sierra Sunfall is I suppose you wouldn't really get into much of her life unless somebody asked, but what she is doing in Meadowfen is she is a cleric of Titan, the one of the two big gods of the Amaranthine, and she's helping set up a temple here, and that's where she studies and where she sleeps. Previously, her employment found her as a caravan guard, and that's actually how she came into um, being a cleric on one of the sort of caravans that she was guarding and escorting from Alderheart to Meadowfen. She met a few folks that were acolytes of Titan, and they kind of hit it off. And when she returned to Alderheart, she went immediately to the temple there and started her study. Now she's here helping with deconstruction and research and all that stuff inside the temple here. If anybody asks, she wouldn't be guarded about her family or anything, but she wouldn't have much to say. She's the only child of a family that runs a small blacksmith shop in Alderheart, and her parents are not necessarily happy that she didn't to do leatherworking or woodworking and helped out around the shop and helped continue that business, and is doing other things, but she doesn't really have anything bad to say either. So yeah.
Okay.
I think it's my turn, but I have to go get cookies. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I think I guess just as far as demeanor and things go, as sort of sparse as her telling of personal stuff goes, she's very interested in the arcane and nature and stuff. So she's probably crossed paths with Hattie, and they've probably had some long conversations about the night sky and the rhythm and the gods and stuff, because that's good philosophical talk that she likes doing, and she's very engaged in anyone who is interested in the academic.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that the reason why Hattie is here, or his stated reason, is that some of the Star Watchers up at the observatory said that the stars move over time. not just like seasonally, but over time. Which meant that Hattie had to find a stationary position to be at for a while that was safe, and spend all of his time staring at what he calls his favorite constellation every night to see if it moves and to chart its movement. So he's probably been here for like 9 to 10 months.
And I guess I'm coming back to the religious question that people might ask about like Titan or anything. Her interest in Titan is not only that he's tied so closely to the Great Rhythm and like Arcana and stuff and death and all that fun good stuff. Like a lot of the tales and myths around him sees him as like someone who shelters and ferries and accompanies the dead places, and she found that like protecting people through the night or like being there for the sick and the people who needed her help was like something that she wanted to do and felt like she was already doing, even though it was like just like a mercenary gig. So she decided to like make it a more meaningful one. So yeah, she's probably a little bit more studied in fighting than most of the people setting up the temple
Yeah. Okay.
as well.
All right. Lily, are you back yet? Okay. Then we're gonna go to Ted instead.
Roderick is not from Meadowfen. He's originally from Saltersport, which most of the people who are from Saltersport were kind of weird families to begin with. You can kind of read the blurb on Saltersport and how it got founded. He has been in Meadowfen for maybe a month and a half. He basically showed up one day expecting something to happen, and then nothing did. And so he's just been here kind of getting by. I didn't really think too much about what he's been doing here. Probably just working somewhere, cooking, doing his thing. He's been here for a couple months, though, just kind of waiting for something to happen. He knows something is supposed to happen. He just doesn't know what it is or when. As far as he's pretty open about pretty much anything. His family is still in Saltersport. He doesn't have any siblings, although he was part of a small unified. Is kind of weird because most churches for the humble folk don't do. They're usually to a deity or either the bird pantheon or the humble pantheon, but his family's sort of the hippie Unitarian. We don't care as long as you're here. He will also go on at obnoxious length about his wife Serena, the most beautiful Vulpin you've ever seen. He'll tell you the truth, and that's pretty much it. He is just spending most of his time either sort of like an outreach type thing, because he is an acolyte. He was raised in a church, and that's still kind of what he does. But he does it more through like works than through preaching or proselytizing. So he's out cooking for people that don't have food. He's out, you know, lifting spirits and things like that. So he's pretty common sight. He's also just sort of he's that weird guy. Kind of sometimes is like we should go the other way so we don't have to deal with him.
Okay. All right, Lily, you're back. Let's hear about your character.
All right. I should be espousing what other people would know about my character.
That is correct.
En masse, very little. She keeps to herself very largely. tries to be scarce, spends a lot of time on the outskirts of town, but she's always outside looking in. Um, has made efforts to make appearances at public events or in gathering spaces, but very rarely reaches out to actually talk to anyone. She has very conspicuous feathering. Um, any of you that have religious proficiency would recognize it as the exact feathering patterns of Rhea that have been somewhat palette swapped for the ocean with a lot of whites and browns. Um, and she wears very little clothing. She looks very ragged. Has a like a short cropped vest and shorts, if that. Looks like sailor's equipment, with a rope tie that is frayed and poorly kept, um, and wears a what is essentially a holy symbol, like a big amulet that has 4 arrows pointed in a compass, with the depiction of a storm in the background, like a stormy clouds over a sea. Uh, yeah, and otherwise just kind of keeps to herself.
What is the name she goes by?
Um, she doesn't try to tell anyone to call her anything, but her name is Vendavale. Probably Vendi would be the easiest shortening of that.
Okay. One second.
Oh, as far as her things go, she's also never really without weapons, um, and sometimes can be seen talking to herself in the distance. Uh, and her weapons are extremely well maintained in contrast to basically everything else she owns, especially her bow, which is very ornate,
Okay.
like an heirloom.
Mhm. All right. So next, I need to know if any of you have been working with each other about background bonds, like connections you guys would like to intersect with one another. Has anyone worked on that yet?
Uh, Me and Adam very briefly talked about maybe he built housing for my character when she moved in pretty recently.
Okay, so she has a house.
That would be the idea. I do need to talk to Adam more about that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you might be probably my best in to this
Mhm.
group because we would have been forced to spend at least some amount of time together. Uh, which during that time you could realize that that Vendavale is a little bit flighty and like
Mhm.
looks like she wants to leave conversations, but also really, really tries to force herself to stay. Um, and she's very sweet and good-hearted.
Right. And Gladys, being a devotee of Hanera, is all about trying to build community. And so would definitely, in addition to helping to build uh, uh, a house, would try and encourage her to um, attend more of the town events, be seen a little bit more in town, get a little bit more involved, that sort of thing, and try and um, make sure that more than just her housing needs are being met.
Okay. Put you clear out
Gladys
here.
probably helped build Hattie's shack,
Mhm.
considering it was just like a lean-to with a couple of like pieces of cloth draped across it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine in that circumstance, it's entirely possible that Gladys just would have seen it and just been like, "No, this is not acceptable."
Yeah, Hattie wouldn't have really gotten it, but Gladys
Right.
seems very happy that Hattie is living in a house now, so that's fine. It's good for when it rains.
Okay. Any others?
It
I
sounds to
heard.
me it sounds to me like, Roderick and Gladys have probably, crossed paths at this point in that they have, uh, sort of similar MOs in town. It sounds like Roderick is helping out with other things, and Gladys is helping out primarily with housing. And, I don't know what Roderick's living situation is, but if he came to town a month ago or a couple months ago expecting something to happen and now has just been here, um, if
I
he
sort
needed
of
housing.
I sort of picture him working and staying in like a tavern or an inn because
Gotcha.
between playing
Mhm.
music and cooking there, like
Mhm.
he's not making a lot of money, but he's at least got a roof over his head
Right.
Mhm.
uh,
The local
while he's waiting because he wouldn't get a house because he's expecting this to be kind of transient.
Gotcha.
the local uh the local tavern is called the uh, Crooked Den, is what it is called. Okay.
Roderick
I
needs the instrument fixed, right? The ridiculous contraption.
How, how dare you, sir?
Oh, I wouldn't say that in character. It's very um needlessly complicated. You'd know that Hattie is probably really good at fixing things with like random bits of crap. Like as long as you bring something that might functionally serve as the inner workings of this instrument, Hattie could probably fix it. Hattie isn't very good at designing new things though. Like trying to figure out how to make it better, that doesn't interest Hattie.
No,
Just
he largely just want it just put back right. You know, just I brought you wood and I brought you strings.
yeah.
I just need you to put the wood where the wood was, the strings where the
Do you have
strings were.
the sticky jam?
I
don't put
I
sticky
I d-
jam on.
I don't know what that is, so no.
Well, the sticky jam will hold it in place for until it um for a while.
Uh, that is such a
We're gonna lose
disturbing thing.
we are gonna lose Cody mid-session. It's gonna happen.
I'm just gonna nod off.
Okay. I feel as if Vendi has um reason to have. I think we've talked about her having been to Salter's Port. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Probably. It
Um.
is likely that that was the haunt before moving out here.
Mhm. And that is a major city with a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
Uh. I'm and in no way do I think that mean like if you and Roderick find yourselves to be acquaintances, it is not because you have met in Saltersport, but it's because you have both been here. And the only other person in town who has been to and is from Saltersport is the innkeeper Niall Haynes, who is I've described him as a handsome young raptor. But he owns the Crooked Den. He is somewhat a reserved individual himself, um, but is particularly accommodating to travelers, and loves to hear of home. So if you two wish to be connected, that in any fashion through that avenue, that makes sense to me.
That tracks.
Yep.
Uh,
Okay.
Sole proprietor.
Depending on how long ago Roderick moved in, we might have even traveled here together or met on the road. Because I'm a recent addition.
I had said that I've maybe been here at most 6 weeks or so.
All
It could
right.
be it could even be less than that because he showed up expecting something to happen and then nothing happened, so he's just been sitting here waiting.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
for for information, this little place right here, I will eventually move in this in
I'm
this in
sorry,
the stream.
pinged and I missed it.
In the stream, this little building
Okay.
right here is the Crooked Den, and I'll have everything labeled. It'll be in Roll20 once I finish the map. Right here would be the location that Vendi is living. A recent house in a farther out block of the city. I'll fill in a lot of this empty space, but I wanted to leave enough room for you guys to be able to kind of position yourselves if you wanted to. Um, so yeah, I mean, you guys are basically neighbors anyway.
Mhm.
Sierra, June,
Yes.
do you have anyone that you've heard so far that you feel like you would have really vibed with?
What you call it? Probably Hattie. Cody and I kind of talked about us having just kind of clicked over philosophical discussion if we ran into each other in, at any point, because I think like with the people that she used to hang around, being like her parents or like other like mercenaries and stuff, she didn't really get to gush about like you know uh, really cool magic stuff or the stars or the night sky or the gods or anything. So
Mhm.
like the first opportunity she gets, like if she sees Hattie and like they end up talking, they will probably just be at it for like all night. And like I'm pretty sure she would be able to recognize Hattie's like star chart if he ever shows her as like crazy good, and be like, yo, oh my god, holy crap, we need to study together. Like, teach me some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say any conversation that starts philosophically for Hattie always ends in talking about the stars. Every conversation veers unerringly towards talking about the stars in some way, the longer Hattie gets to talk. And Hattie is all about showing people his star chart. Loves to like show he's doing it for himself, but if anybody like expresses an interest, he's all about like gushing over it and sharing with them because he believes that like he genuinely doesn't understand why anybody wouldn't think that the stars are amazing to look at.
What do you think would have been the like inciting incident for your guys' connection? What as a thought that it could be there could have been an instance where someone asked Hadley for help at the temple for in a more practical capacity for his constructing, um,
Contraptioning.
contraptioning. Thank you. Um, and that might have given rise for Sierra to have acquainted herself with them, or similarly, Hadley. One of the things that you would have been expected to do, based on your position in town, would be to kind of keep an eye on the windmill. And if
Mhm.
there were anything that may have brought Sierra in that direction, your paths could have crossed at that point. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you say, Cody?
I mean, I would say Hattie would gladly do like some of the work for like the windmill and stuff. If only to be paid in paper by the like church. Gold isn't really all that useful, but the church has lots of paper, and it'd be good to have more paper. You can never have enough paper, and wax for the paper too, also very expensive. Hattie works on kind of a bartering system where like gold is nice, but supplies are better. So yeah, I think
Right.
Hattie would probably. I don't know how many other Mapaks are in this village.
I have one small gaze that I've put together for you.
Yeah.
The Ashburn household, which consists of where are they? Azure, or Azer, his husband Connor, and his wife, what was her name? Millie, right? Is that right? No, Shauna. Shauna was her name.
I assume
Shauna.
they have an actual trade, right?
They do actually. They somewhat dominate a little bit of the more practical, scrappy material goods in the area.
Yeah.
Between the three of them, they own the foundry and the lumber mill, and have been instrumental in the construction and the upkeep of the windmill. And even though clearly you are not a member of their gaze, they kind of because they are essentially the dominating gaze in the area, they do
Mhm.
kind of rely on you. Like, you happen to live close by, you don't do anything during the day anyway. So every once in a while, like, we'll throw a couple bucks your way if you go and fix the thing that broke, kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, Hattie definitely keeps himself distinctly apart from them, but again,
hmm
Hattie is very affable.
Yeah,
If
and I.
they're going to be willing, like he'll do stuff for free most of the time. People can
mhm.
choose to pay him or not, because like you said, he's not doing anything during the day besides sleeping anyway.
Yeah. They kind of hold you in that in like to the expectation of like be industrious, but also you're not.
Mhm. Expectations towards being industrious, contributing to the community, which
Yeah,
like Hattie gladly does, if only
yeah.
because that's how Hattie was like raised to be, very
hmm
collectivist.
Yeah, I think you'd like, as would be a standing invitation, you would be like, invited into their home. You'd be welcome and all, but like, there is the very obvious disconnect between you and them. Like, there
Mhm.
just is via interests and also family differences.
Yeah.
Um. Okay.
So yeah, I think that would have been a good avenue, like doing some jobs for the church,
hmm
or even like I don't know, they might eventually consult with Hattie about star-based stuff, or if they try to build a looking tube as well with actual supplies and materials.
What do you think, June?
Uh, yeah. Sorry, I spilled coffee. I had to get a paper towel and missed a little bit of the last bit.
It's fine. We were talking
Cody.
about Mapak stuff.
Right. But
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I think Sarah would also, uh, other than how is this temple like complete now? Is it standing or is it like it still needs to be established?
it's a very modest little chapel in the stream. I've got it like right here, just on the one of the
Yes.
farther borders of town. Um, and I feel like it is probably not yet to the like the satisfaction of your um what is the word, parish
Clergy. Yeah.
clergy, yeah. But it is enough for them to have gotten started, because this is a relatively new thing. Like, it was constructed like within a year.
I got an idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys got like a bell that has to ring whenever like dusk and like night happens, and it's like rigged up to be able to like press a button or like turn a like wheel with like a hand crank to make the bell up top go, but it does mean it's breaking a lot. And
Right.
Hattie can fix little like minor engineering things like that,
Right.
like go get the mechanisms fixed again.
That sounds good. Yeah, probably bumped into you there. I mean, I feel like we would have a lot of sort of uh like room to bump into each other, just because I feel like Sarah would also, while some of the stuff is outside of her sort of purview as far as like crafting and stuff goes, she would be around town, like helping people, or if anybody needed any sort of like ceremonies or clerical things that need doing, she can go, or like gathering supplies, uh, and let the people who know how to engineer the thing.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, I do like the idea of Hattie coming in though and fixing like something very like specific.
The darkness spell. You gotta
Yeah.
fix it. It constantly keeps stop working. Don't have the right materials.
Okay. I think. Yeah. Okay. Just for your reference, June, the holder of the chapel, your don't necessarily use conventional terms because this isn't exactly conventional religion.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right.
but the patriarch, we'll start with that anyway. And I'll probably just use that. The patriarch of the chapel is a Dory Greenbottle, who is a Strigg, and has married into a family of Gallus. The Gallus household Greenbottle holds a lot of the population. Is a lot of the major population of Meadow um, and is also the family that happens to house the what's the word, the village elder, who is named Ardwin Greenbottle. Just throwing names out. If you guys need to clarify who they are as we go, that's fine.
And I'm sure I'd probably be acquainted with Ardwin not only by like you know Idori being married into his family, but also being a new establishment in the town itself, and probably
Yes.
having to like go to him, ask for stuff, and being part of the community and shit.
Yes, Ardwin is actually she's a widow.
Hi.
Yeah, and she is one of the first people that everyone meets upon permanently, like more permanently anyway, settling into town. She's a very friendly elderly woman who is deeply respected as someone who can speak with the natural world, and is very attuned to Hanera. Likely that would be a very good connection thread for you, Adam. Someone who is very embracing of new people and people kind of beginning to find their footing as community members. She would be someone who you would have a good touchstone to, and may have even been your avenue for finding a religion. I wonder if we'll be able to find you a character that's gonna like keep their faith this time, Adam.
we'll try.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there's probably a pretty strong bond between Gladys and Ardwin, and probably through that is Gladys is pretty comfortable with a fair number of the Greenbottle clan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to jump on too many boats, but Ardwin sounds exactly like
Everyone needs to jump on as many fucking boats as possible, and I'm not kidding.
All right. Sick. In which case, Vendaval almost certainly spends time with Arduin, if not a lot of time.
All right.
Because she's trying to acclimate herself to the community, and also this person sounds very much her speed.
Okay.
Yeah, not to piggyback too much, but if there is any sort of temple in this place, that's where Roderick is also going to be spending time, because that's what he
Then
knows from home.
Then
Mhm.
I'd know you.
Okay. And I mean, we can put more churches in as well. These are just the things that I have so far. Uh, I think, I mean, Titan is pretty damn cool, but is not a what's the word? Titan is probably going to have, if we choose to have another church within with like a formal church within the city, is going to be Titan's chapel is going to be smaller for sure. Although because of location, because of um, what's the word, agriculture and all, Hanera and definitely because of the Green Bottle clan, Hanera would be the predominant um, patron of the city. Um, but being as she is, it is not necessary that she have her own temple. Um, so that's not as important. But if do any of you feel strongly that there ought to be something bigger here?
If this is not a major settlement, I don't see why there'd be anything to Gesme, which would be Roderick's
Hmm.
primary deity. So I,
I agree. My
Right. I
thoughts,
mean,
if there's anything, it'd be Ardia.
right, if I may, maybe it's a situation where um, there's a non-denominational temple,
Hmm.
right? And they
Yeah.
have people that come in, right? That clearly there's someone there to Hanera, right?
Hmm.
you would have temples to either the bird deities or the humble
Or
folk
the humble
deities.
folk,
They
yeah.
don't mix
Mm,
under normal
Yeah.
circumstances.
okay.
That's just the way they're described.
Yeah. Although conceptually, like you're saying, a non-denominational building still
Mhm.
feels appropriate for the scale of the settlement.
Right.
Or just two smaller non-denominational, if that makes sense. One for birds,
Mhm.
one for humble.
Mhm. Mhm.
That makes sense.
Picture-wise, that doesn't look like a massive cathedral. That's definitely outside this city's economic capability. Here's something.
I'm pretty sure in any humble folk church, there is conspicuously not a Hath shrine.
No,
No.
absolutely not. That would be
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah. The
Be a
Mopok's
problem.
no.
I'm going to put the church. Actually, very close to the market. That's where I'm going to put it. There we go. And this building right here, is the Green Bottle Estate. Very central to the town. Very old establishment.
Can you ping that one more time?
This one right here. And I'll label everything in the
Okay.
coming week.
What's the split of bird to humble folk in this particular town?
Because you guys are out of the forest, and because
Mhm.
there are fewer trees here, it is a reasonably higher population of humble folk.
Mhm.
But that is still a like 30 to 40, 70 to 60 split.
Okay.
Like all in mass, everyone together, it would be hard to determine that there is specifically more bird folk, but it is known that there are, but
Probably
only
because the
just.
predominant family here is a bird folk family.
Hmm.
Naturally lends itself to more like bird folk showing up. especially for one of the cities on the ground.
Yes. And I think we are going to. I mean, we'll make a note of this for Doug when he gets in. But I think the Green Bottle household is going to be the people he has worked for, and as such will be how most of you guys would be associated with his character when she is here.
Is there like a town like nursery, like child care center?
Not a childcare center, but an estate household uh, would have a nurse on retainer.
I mostly meant like, do they open it to the public to like have childcare for the locals?
I mean, when there are no children in a family, then the nurse has to find work elsewhere.
Fair.
Yeah. And we'll add the we'll put the humble folk church building right here. We'll put that on the farther side of town, actually nearest to the Ashburns
hmm
holdings.
So as far as like major families, like the Ashburns are probably the like major humble folk family, right?
That is, I believe, accurate. Let me check my notes again. Uh, yes, there is also the Hastings and the Farthings, and I'll write that down. The Hastings, which are Gerbeans, and although they are a smaller collective,
Mhm.
there's maybe a household of them, and then and similarly, Farthings, which are hedgefolk.
And Azer, Connor, and Shauna share leadership, right? As the like
Um,
acting local council.
Azure would be considered the head of the household, but
Mhm.
his spouses, in practice, hold equal influence.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Trying to think if there's anything else important. Are there other questions you guys have so far? Okay. Does anyone have anyone yet in the group that they feel like they don't have a particularly strong connection with, that they feel like we could work something out right now?
Hmm. Gladys is a good like connector to some of us.
Mhm.
I'm trying to decide how Hattie would know it's Vendi, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. If only because like the two of them are both the I guess one of them is the loner who wants to be a part of the group, and the other is the like affable, comfortable by themselves person who chooses to just sort of be on the edge of things.
How long
Right.
has Hattie been in town?
About 9 to 10 months.
Oh, well, it could be as simple as Gladys uses Hattie to contraptionate, or however we're gonna turn that into a verb. Um, and when I was building Vendy's house, I brought you along to fix something or do whatever. And you met Vendy at that point.
Ye-
That makes sense.
Okay. Cool. How do you
Do you
guys?
want to,
You go.
Vendi? Do you want to roof what can open by itself? Kind of.
Uh, sure,
It's
sure.
just a hatch with a crank. I don't look. It's basic engineering, but if that's something you'd like, We can make your roof that.
Girl is very agreeable, so if Hattie pitched basically
Well,
anything,
yeah,
she
how do
would
you
have
be like,
just been accommodating
how do you be
and
like,
been like,
listen, listen,
"Yeah,
listen. Imagine you can see the stars at night and be inside the house. Like, hold on. I've thought of this. This exists. It's basically just a hand crank that can open the top of the roof like a big hatch.
You
yeah."
know, what you want your house to be able to do.
Yeah.
She
Well, yeah.
she would have said yes to this and would have made a show of trying to be very pleased about it when it was
Never
finished.
used it.
Never, ever, ever uses it.
Yeah.
Might use it sometimes if she notices that Hattie is watching.
Hattie wouldn't be watching. That's the thing. The second Hattie made it, if it doesn't break, Hattie's gonna stop paying attention to it entirely.
No, I just mean like if she sees Hattie walking down the road, she'll like open it up and be like, "Wow, getting a lot of use out of this thing."
Yeah, like the most it would be to Hattie is, oh, that's a very good invention idea because it hasn't broken yet.
Yeah, and it hasn't broken because it's not getting used.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, come on, why wouldn't you want your roof to do that? Sick.
The true answer is that if she wanted to, she could just climb on top of the roof very easily,
I mean,
or jump up there.
well, yeah, but like, what if you could lay inside inside and also be kind of outside? Wouldn't that be cool?
Sure.
That was far too high energy and explanation. It'd be more like, oh, I can do something pretty cool if you want to be able to look at the night sky every night. Just make like a little, it's like a hand crank. You could just open up the roof. Does that
Dude,
sound
you're
good?
gonna have to pick it up just a tiny bit because you're gonna put me to sleep.
No, we're fine.
I was gonna say I'm gonna have to
It
turn
also might
Cody
make
up all the
conversations
way.
take a while.
I have to
It's
turn
just
Cody up all the way, and then when he talks regularly, it's gonna blow my eardrums.
here. Look, I turned myself up. Now
Oh
I'm going to
boy.
be the voice of God.
Oh my.
Hello.
It's good. It's warm and fuzzy, and by warm and
Yeah, that
fuzzy, I mean kind of distorted.
yeah, that proximity effect is doing wonders for you, buddy.
Here.
Roderick,
Yo.
knowing now that you've got what is functionally a couple of options as far as church attendance, is there anything that like directly pulls you or interests you?
In regards to one versus the other, or just
Yeah, like is this something that is this are these places that he makes regular appearances at just as his on his own, or is there a place that he frequents and has preference to? Are there people he would prefer to converse with?
I think as far as churches, he'd basically just go back and forth, which is kind of
Mhm.
weird, but that's, how he knew things in Salter's Port.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of individuals specifically, I don't know.
Okay. Um,
Sorry. I think he's
that's fine.
just so caught up in waiting that like he will and does get along with anybody, but I don't know that he's like really looking to build anything here because he's not expecting to stay. He doesn't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like he's wave hi on the street and say hi and small talk with a bunch of people, but he's not becoming a fixture of town yet.
Yeah.
Plus he's only been here like a month or so.
Right. Do you think that means any names have like properly stuck or no?
Yes, only because he would find it rude to not remember somebody's name. Like if
Okay.
he's been introduced to somebody, then he would make an effort to remember their names, but if it's just somebody he sees like as a regular customer or something like that, it's a little more murky.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Hmm?
you
D&D?
person.
What? What's up?
Right. Okay. Then who amongst the
What are
group
you
do you
up to?
feel like he would be capable of being on first name terms with?
Oh. What's up?
Definitely Vendi and Hattie, just because of repeat
Hmm.
interactions with both.
Get homework.
If he had met Syrah at one of the churches and had like a long conversation, I could see that being someone he would remember.
Mm-hmm.
But that would kind of depend on how. I don't know how like stringent or strict in not what's the word I'm looking for, not scripture, but procedure, I guess.
Mm.
Syrah is with that stuff.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like I said, he's sort of like a Unitarian type where
Right.
like he's not he will mostly refer to Gesme purely because that's kind of the Corvum deity,
Mm-hmm.
the Corvum member of the Amaranthine. But like somebody who is used to rigid, can't think of the word, and procedure is not it, but you get what I mean.
I
Like
mean, I know
protocol
it.
type thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but like, I am a servant who worships what is. I mean,
Okay.
but
Well, that's
I mean, Titan is very much like his sort of mantle, if you would, kind of covers like it affects humble folk and bird folk just the same. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I feel like if there was a bird folk god for a humble folk person to worship, it would be Titan, just because it's like, his mantle is just like having to do
yeah.
with life and death, and also like the night sky and a little bit of like arcana to go in the mix, as far as like his interaction with the what's his name, the one that made it so Titan doesn't speak anymore, the one that
Half.
Hath, yeah. It's all very sort of yeah. She's not very strict as far as like religiosity goes. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Like
Mm-hmm.
her interest in it is just like she wants to study more of like her interest is more like sort of the academic part of it, and like she also sees that like he's a really nice god, I suppose, so like she can attach himself or herself to like the tenets of Titan while also like studying the things that she's interested in. So I think that's the appealing part about it, not the like actual worship of it necessarily.
Okay. So she would be welcome of like essentially religious debate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that'd be something that she's interested in, and probably like I think exploring like the the reach and the sort of like nature of the mantles and sort of I'm not thinking of the right word, like what they're a god of and what their powers extend to and how that works. So
Mhm.
that's why she would be interested in other folks' sort of worship. Because
Okay.
her worship would be definitely more in deeds than in like just prayer, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely Roderick. His deeds, not his actions. Yeah,
Yeah.
works.
And
That's the word I'm looking for.
and to be fair, it's very well established that is the majority of worship in Humblewood is a major focus um, on how your actions reflect in the community rather than how they are directed towards a god. So that feels appropriate. Okay, let me just go back to my notes and see any ties that I don't feel like are quite strong enough yet. Hmm.
Everyone gets to be friends.
Hmm?
I said everyone gets
Everyone
to be
gets to be
friends.
friends.
Yay!
Everyone gets to be friends. Not everyone has to agree on everything. Not everyone has to get along all the time. But it is important that you guys have reason that when one of you is asked, essentially, to go on a quest, the rest of you would feel compelled to follow. If that, and it won't be exactly that, but it won't not be that either. Hmm. Adam, is there anyone you feel like you need to touch base with better?
Um, well, I think my connections with Roderick and Syrah are a little thin,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you know, um, I'm sort of comfortable with that. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
um, my ties to Vendi and Hattie are tight enough, and um, Gladys is not a churchgoer. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
she very much in terms of religion in general, but in particular, as a follower of Hanera, it's all about just being out and providing for the community. So, um, I think that if, particularly with Sierra's focus on sort of an interest in the more philosophical discussions, like,
That's beyond her.
yeah, Gladys, I'm sure they've crossed paths. I'm sure they are, pleasant with one another and appreciate what the other is doing in the community. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just not where Gladys' interest lies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's all right that those are a little thin. But if uh, Ted or June, if either of you have other ideas, I'm certainly open to them.
Um, having journeyed to here from Salter's Point, I would think that Roderick is probably closer to Vendi than anyone else
Mm-hmm.
in town, if that sounds functional to you, Lily. Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I think I think Vendi probably has like 2 or 3 friends in town right now and probably doesn't hang out with much of anyone else, which means since she's trying to make an effort to be more social, she'll spend a lot of time with those 3 friends.
but it does mean that like the at the very least Roderick knows Gladys, I would say, by name, because this is somebody who did a major favor for one of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And while that was taking place while the house was being built and work was being done. He would have done whatever he could to, provide meals for crews and things like that. Which could have easily translated into similar things happening other places.
Right. And
Mhm.
given that, I think that on the rare occasion, or I assume rare occasion, that there are people in town, either people that live in town or people that are passing through that are in dire need of a meal, I'll probably send them to the Crooked Den to ask for you, and with whatever little coin I've got, and just sort of throw that problem in your lap.
You might also know a lot about Gladys secondhand from Vendi because, as I said, she has like 3 friends
Right.
and is pretty quiet, but also doesn't have much to talk about, so probably just talks about her other friends to her other friends.
I don't know
Okay.
how often Hattie and Roderick would intersect.
Probably not a lot. I was thinking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I think that kinda comes down to how often Hattie finds himself in public spaces, period.
Yeah, not unless there is a task to be done. Hattie is very comfortable being apart and separate.
Okay.
So Hattie would come into town if it is the sort of like there's a festival and it is expected that you as a community member should engage in it. Hattie like ticks all the boxes for being a part of a community.
But
But
only
fundamentally
just
Hattie is very comfortable just living his particular life. Also, Hattie is sufficient in terms of, food and drink out by himself.
Mhm.
So,
'Kay. Hmm. I feel like I'll double check again. Anyone else feel like there's anything else they need to bring up?
uh, I'm trying to think. I don't Hattie and Vendy probably are not friends. If only because Hattie would be very, like, polite and nice and then would just, like well, come to actually, Hattie would invite Vendy to, like, come do star watching with him. 'Cause he kind of will invite literally anyone who's interested.
Yeah, she'll probably do that. She has a lot of free time, because
Yeah.
she has been trying to learn how to, hunt and trap in the area, but it's very new to her, and she
Oh,
probably doesn't have a teacher, so,
Yeah, I can.
she's,
I don't know about
probably not doing great at that.
hunting, but, local area and finding water and stuff is easy.
Yeah.
Hattie's good at that stuff.
Nah, my point is mostly that, like, the things she's trying to do for, like, work or whatever to contribute is probably not panning out super well for her just yet, so she probably just, like, spent a lot of time with people trying to hang out.
Just politely nodding while Hattie talks at length about how cool his star chart is.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreeing how cool it is. This would be really useful to, find your way around on the ocean.
Yeah, it's like a
Okay.
blueprint. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Gladys probably doesn't wanna talk about it as much as Gladys wants to talk about, can it be useful?
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, folks where I'm from just memorize this stuff, and that seems much harder than what you're doing, which is, uh, smart. That's ingenious.
Okay. So of people who here has a home that I've not yet designated, who needs a house still?
Gladys has definitely got a house here somewhere.
Okay. Where would you like that in relation to the rest of the community?
Um, Doesn't really matter. Maybe sort of central.
Okay. And as a contractor, how much does she care about her house?
It would be modest.
That's kind of what I thought. All right.
Yeah.
Put
but
you.
impeccably built.
Right.
Just fucking crushing it.
We'll put you central to what is essentially the new development
Perfect.
area. Yeah, the lighting's low. God, that's fine. That's fine. Right there, right behind the estate.
Mhm.
Sierra, what is your living situation?
I was right about to ask. So you mentioned that the chapel, and I'm seeing that the chapel's pretty small. So I don't
Yeah.
imagine that there's like a lot of like space for living in there. So probably
Yeah,
something.
this would be a temple that the clergy does not live at. In fact, none of these temples would be because it's such a small place. Everyone can just go home, and devotion to gods again is more reflective of works than it is of
Right.
practice.
So where are they staying? And like, because I don't imagine I have that much money to spend on like an abode.
Mm-hmm.
So like if they're gonna help with like housing, then I'd probably live in whatever sort of corner of town they sort of set up their little
I wouldn't put
commune
it.
if they're not natives.
I wouldn't put it beyond the realm of possibility that upon marrying into the Green Bottle household, uh, Adori would move into the estate, but would have a home that they would not have use of, that you could take advantage of. Does that feel reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put you what amounts to a slightly bigger house.
And I would probably be sharing it. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to, and it'd probably work out that I'd be sharing it with whatever other like clergy
Yeah.
members.
Yeah, we'll put you on this side of town. Shrink it just a little bit. Front door to the road. There we go. Ugh. Why? There we go. Okay. So just up on the northern side of town, out near the fields.
Perfect.
Substantially far, truthfully, from the temple, but that is fine. It's a nice walk. Okay, let's see. I think that's everybody with housing needs met. Okay. Anything else that you guys need answers for?
I'm just curious, what is that building right next to the Crooked Den?
That would be the copper shop. That's the general store. That is run by Millie Farthing, the hedge. Let me see if I've got any other important things of note. Oh, so the Green Bottle Estate is referred to as the Cruck House. I'll spell that out. The very nearby, right here, is the Perch Tower, the Perch Watchtower. That is an establishment that is mid-construction. A delegation from Alderheart has been sent to Metafen for the protection of the city. The intention being that as necessary, uh, Alderheart can send Perch Guard out here and help you guys with what would be things outside of local militia capability. However, it is so new that the only guards who actually stand here are the members of the current militia right now, which includes a Streg named Kara. So she is functionally a constable until the Bird Council can actually designate a watchguard to send out your guys' way. Temple shop. That is basically all I have so far. Are there things that you guys feel that this town is lacking, or that I have not explained well enough that needs to be understood better?
Just out of curiosity, does anybody have ties to Doug's character yet?
No.
No.
Not specifically. The closest is going to be you, Adam,
Okay.
because of your connection to the Green Bottle household.
Okay.
She, as a member of the household, though not necessarily a member of the family, you would know her.
Okay.
But I think that would be all of you that really would, because of her occupation.
Yeah, she's busy.
She's busy, and none of you guys have kids, so
Yeah.
doesn't matter. If anything, she might have passing familiarity with people at the Crooked Den, but I don't know that about the character yet. So, I think then that is everything that we needed to go over.
I do have a small question.
Yes.
Are there opportunities for fishing locally?
There is a river, a very small river that runs down to the Mock Fields, which is not a perfect place for fishing. As there's no fishing industry here, but it is something that is entertainment, at least locally.
Yep. That's all I needed.
Okay.
And secondarily, I would like to say, would it be reasonable for me to be acquainted in some Kara, the constable in the watchtower, considering I was out of Alderheart working as guard of sorts before going into the clergy, and again, I'm not too great with my hands, but I can sure fight.
Yeah. As a militia member, she's a native to Meadowfen, but especially since you did like this run a few times, she would have been someone you have bumped into on occasion and
Right.
likely been acquainted with.
Yeah. Cool.
I have a question actually.
Yes.
How often would like local like kids and stuff come wandering out to like what is the local population of children? Because I imagine some of them would go like hear the weird instruments at the inn.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them would wander out to the weirdo who lives on the edge of town and talks about stars always.
The young population, particularly in Meadowfen, is predominantly humble folk.
Mhm.
And certainly the ow, Duncan, um, is certainly the Ashburn kids. Although
Yeah.
the Hastings would likely be your most frequent, um, I'm gonna say annoyance, even though that wouldn't be Hadley's term for it.
Yeah.
Um, uh, because they're gonna be just kinda shitty kids who occasionally would, like, throw rocks at your tent kinda deal and then run off.
Yeah.
Um, and then occasionally be nice and apologize with, uh, their parents' plate of cookies kinda thing.
Yeah. I was like mostly just curious for like, how many kids are coming out and Hattie's like, "Oh yeah, come sit with me all night and let's look at
Yeah,
the stars."
yeah,
I do
and
like the idea that a good portion of Hattie's diet consists of uh, kids being forced to bring "I'm sorry for throwing rocks at your tent" food.
You also happen to live, like, on the bridging of the cliff that overhangs the city, which means
Oh,
most bird folk who would be training youth how to glide would come by your place. They'd pass you on the way to, what is ostensibly like the training ledge,
Mhm.
which is over this little pond that you can see, so it's relatively safer. If things go poorly, they just fall into the water.
Yeah.
Um, and though most bird folk in the area aren't swimming raptors, it is safer than hitting the ground from the much higher
Yeah.
points of the very small hill cliffs that are just beyond. But still, it's safer down by your house.
Awesome. Okay. Because yeah, I think Hattie would be pretty open to just like the main thing is not necessarily Hattie is antisocial, but that Hattie's
Yes.
just very preoccupied. If people want to come into Hattie's domain and talk about the things Hattie's interested in, Hattie's all for it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the thing is with him being on like the trainer's ledge,
mhm.
is that like that's kind of an incident of trying to find a high place that is not obscured by trees.
Yeah,
And you're like right next to the lumber mill, so there are no trees in the area because they've already been mowed down. So this place really is the best place for Hattie.
mhm.
It also just is a it's not high traffic, but it's not the quietest.
Yeah. I mean, Hattie's not a hermit or particularly curmudgeonly. So Hattie
Exactly.
would be fairly congenial with like Hattie would come out to like watch some of them try to fly.
Mhm.
This is interesting. Hattie mostly kills time during the day when he's not sleeping.
Okay. Oh, I have one more question for you guys. I am going to leave this up to essentially a vote, and that is what season would you like this game to be taking place in?
Hmm.
With the thought being take place from early spring to nearly midsummer. And most of you guys are playing, like, I say most, most of the party at this point, most of the people in this party are in the Saltmarsh Games of Sun Fashion, which take place about autumn to winter-ish. So it's kind of up to you, and it'll have an effect. Where you would like this, what season you want this to be, because there are holidays. There are holidays in this game.
Well, I feel like end of winter, beginning of spring feels good.
I'm
I
done
don't
with
know
that.
how seasons work here.
yeah, that sounds good.
All right, bringing it back to early Tay. Love that.
I mean, I don't know. I
I
feel
Well, I
was
mean,
like
you
yelling.
weren't
going.
I was
you weren't,
yelling.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was yelling autumn into mute. I like
you're
autumn.
yelling
Yeah,
autumn
me
into
too.
mute.
I was also yelling autumn
We want to
into
travel during
mute.
winter.
You might not be traveling
Uh,
during winter.
Cody, if it means I get to enjoy autumn, yes.
That's fair. I guess end of summer, beginning of like the fall. It's
Harvest
pretty
time?
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Harvest time. Harvest time.
that's aesthetic.
Yeah? How's that feel for you, Ted and Adam? Does that feel all right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All
Yep.
right, cool. Make a note of that.
I mean, if we can't start on December 13th, what difference does it make?
Okay. I think that's all I've got for you guys.
I'm sorry. You said I'm just sort of looking over my sheet and remembering. You said somebody's. I think it was. I don't know who it was. And my brain stopped working.
404.
One of the NPCs deals with like the animals of the swamps around here, or am I misremembering something I heard?
No, I've. You don't necessarily have a specific connection that way. No. The general understanding of the mock fields is that they are fine, except that they are inhabited by slimes, and these slimes are caustic and dangerous, and can melt a bird. And the general consensus is the city planning is such that it is not so close to the fields that it is actually terribly dangerous. But it also does prevent the what's the word? The bandit collective from establishing any fortresses out there that could possibly be a threat to your southern border.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
So it's not like anybody in Meadowfen has designs on the slime business.
No, because
Okay.
because it doesn't really stand as a threat to you guys.
Right.
However, as close as you guys are to the Scorched Grove, there is likely, on occasion, mostly for the purposes of resupplying and such, the appearance of the Tenders, which are a circle of druids devoted to trying to turn the Scorched Grove back into viable living land again. They also see they somewhat see the value of the power of the fire there, but it is dangerous, and they want to be able to help the land heal. They're kind of seen as a little bit eclectic and strange, but they are kind. They provide a small circulation of money to the area, because they can't really grow anything themselves. They have to take supply. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts?
The only thing I haven't nailed down for Roderick is the starting feat, but beyond.
You abandoned the chef.
I was only doing that if I took the community domain, but as the bard, he can still cook. I have proficiency in cook's utensils because
Mm-hmm.
you get a tool proficiency as a Corvum.
Inspiring leader.
I thought about that one.
Give us some fucking speeches. Give us some sick ass swashbuckling speeches.
I'm not really a swashbuckler.
I know, but you got the affectations of one. You're a storyteller, aren't you? Kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Adjacently.
Honestly, I've been looking at Speech of the Ancient Beasts. just
Oh,
'cause
what's that?
that's fitting and neat. You can speak to like the giant version of animals, like giant
Oh,
eagle, giant elk, giant owl.
that's really cool. That could be really useful.
It also just kind of seems neat.
Yeah, that's one that like is just a sleeper until it comes into play, and then it's very, very, very cool.
Yeah, it's important when you're looking at feats to remember that we're not going very high level.
Well,
So stuff
the
like that will
the
be more
written
useful.
the written module is only to 5th level. I have been given modules as well that go up to possibly 8. We're gonna kind of play this whole game by ear, but the thing is the pacing is designed to be very slow to kind of really emphasize that while you guys are heroes, you are still mostly just dudes from the neighboring town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My point being that stuff like that seems like it would be eclipsed in usefulness by things you would get at like 5th level, doesn't like that's not a reason not to take it because we're
Mhm.
gonna be not 5th level
for a
for
while.
a very long
while.
time.
Yeah. Plus, Roderick's stats are good enough that if there's a feat I want to pick up later, I could. I have to see.
What feats did everyone pick?
I've got magic initiate.
Ah, okay.
Neat.
Wizard baby.
Nice.
Because you can't stay away.
Yeah, I can't. You know what spells I got? Gust and jump.
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
I do know that, but I'm still gonna
Yeah.
make fun of it.
I would have
Oh.
taken druid if it had had gust and jump.
Oh, that
I
picture's
heard the
really
oh,
good.
Sarah, thanks.
Yeah, that picture's
Me
very,
too.
very good.
That is.
That kicks ass.
Let's go fucking art there, baby.
Yeah.
I took
Uh,
this as my feat
I took Sentinel.
Nice.
so
I
that I
took-
can do this
Nice.
when we need to go places. Don't worry, I got it.
I took Fey Touch.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah, baby.
yeah.
For it comes with Misty Step, and I took
Yep.
Hunter's Mark as the other.
Ooh, nice.
Choice.
Oh, that's gonna be nasty.
So I'll be chucking nails like nobody's business.
Fucking Hunter's Mark sneak attack nails.
Na-
You get
Nails is very good.
26 damage at level 2. Congrats.
Okay. All right. If
Maybe-
that's the
Maybe you want cartographer's tools, or is that the one for boats? I always get I always think
yeah.
of them, and then they're like backwards
I
for some reason.
essentially like navigator's tools. I think is technically for boats, but I was like, whatever. It's my star chart. Sarah knows. I know.
Mhm.
We're good
We good.
because I have it written down as star chart, not navigator's tools anyway. What skills does everyone have actually?
History, insight, medicine, perception, performance, persuasion, religion.
Jesus, bard.
I
Yeah,
love a
buddy.
bard.
Yeah, right. God, I
Well,
miss
also
having
Corv
skill
will get a
proficiencies.
free skill.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Y'all remember how many times you guys wanted a bard in Tay? How badly you were like, "Oh, is someone coming in as a bard? Oh, I hope they're a bard."
No.
It happened like 4 times.
I'm
I was
sorry,
gonna
I'm a
play a bard and that child died.
And then Moira
I
could
did
have been a
play
bard.
Moira. Could have been a bard. Chose not to. Thought it fit better for the character.
Valor could have been a bard.
Valor could have been
That
a
is true.
bard.
I think
no,
I
Valor
forget.
could have been a
Fucking
I think that
bard.
was something I
dope.
even said was like they like that is something they're interested in, but I won't. I'm not gonna make. I will never make you play something.
Valor Bard.
Valor bard.
Valor, the Valor
Actually, Valor bard. Yeah.
Valor bard.
Valor
Valor
Bard.
Valor bard.
Yeah, I feel like my proficiencies are very skinny, guys. I have
the
insight,
bard?
religion, and survival. Oh, sorry, and athletics. My bad.
Fuck yeah.
Athletics, insight, religion, and survival.
I'm out here with acrobatics, nature, perception, and stealth.
At least one of us is quiet.
Yeah, I got stealth and advantage on stealth when we're in the dark.
Aren't you fucking cool?
How about dark vision, everyone? I got it.
I got it too. Woo!
Dark vision's for nerds, fucker.
I'm sorry. I worship a god of fire. Good luck with your dark vision, nerds.
Dark vision is for fools.
Yeah.
You would stay out
You know
after
what we call-
bedtime. That's for
you know-
bad boys.
You know what we call people who, use lights in the deep woods? Bait.
Bait. Oh, by the way, I have throwback to Zira.
is-
I can see through non-magical and magical darkness. Woo!
Anything that is gonna see me
Oh,
is
it's
also gonna
level.
see you because it's out at night, so it probably has dark vision also.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you're also gonna be really easily seen by bandits.
I'll put
Oh,
a nail
no.
in it.
Nail will fix most problems.
You say, oh
truthfully.
no, bandits ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
Especially when you're traveling alone.
We're playing
That's
the
why I
D&D
didn't travel
game,
alone.
Cody.
I traveled with Vendy.
Yeah, and Vendy's a crack shot.
Well,
Also, I'm not necessarily afraid of anything. I have an 18 armor class at level 1.
I have 11 health at level 1 as a druid.
I also have
That's
10
pretty
health.
good.
I have 12.
I got 12
Oh,
too, buddy.
Fuck you guys. I got a
How are
4.
you?
I got an 18 in Constitution.
So do I.
You fuck.
You should if you have an 18 con, you should have 12 hit points.
Should I?
Yeah,
Yes.
because your
Yeah.
con mod is 4 and your starting hit die is D8 as a druid, so that should put you at 12. Same as me.
We in the
Hell
12
yeah.
club, baby.
I got
Yeah.
a 20 in wisdom though. Don't you worry about it. I got survival. I got perception. I got insight. I also got nature and stealth. Not as good, but
I'm pretty good at nature and stealth. I'll compensate.
what languages can I speak?
I know how to cook the things that you know what they are. I just know if they're edible.
Oh,
Critical information.
Pretty important.
Oh yeah.
what do you mean about food? It's glow crickets.
Glow crickets
No.
ain't a meal.
Yeah, it is.
No. No.
We're not a bunch of soldiers in this game. We're eating real meals here.
I mean,
Oh my. Okay, that's missing.
I have a glow cricket just in case.
It's all right, guys. If we ever need to swim, I got you.
Actually, that's another interesting question. Who all can climb?
I got
Yo.
talons.
The birds can climb, right?
Yeah.
You have
By
advantage on
default.
athletics checks to climb, yeah.
Do you have climbing speeds?
No.
Oh, okay.
You do get advantage on athletics checks to climb, though, which is
Yeah. As I'm a
enough.
puck, I just get a climbing speed of 20 feet.
Since a rough surface
I
is
can
usually like a DC 10 to climb. It's just climb up trees. Just walk up them.
I can just scamper. I got a climbing speed.
That's
You don't know.
Yep. What happens when you fall? That's the
Don't.
only problem. So
Yeah,
that's
I
the-
made that fucking mistake when Blythe made that like 30-foot metal cube and I ran up it.
Uh-huh. Well,
You have slow fall.
No? No.
on Monk?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah,
You
I did.
used slow
No,
fall,
I did
actually.
use slow fall,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I just had to math it out.
The two
Also, my monk weapon
cantrips-
was a ranged weapon, so I didn't have to be down
Bard's not
there
got
with all
access
the
to Mind Sliver. That's some
heathens.
bullshit.
Oh,
Bards
I
don't have
am
access to
aware.
Mind Sliver?
Yeah,
No.
it's because they
Huh.
have it's because they have vicious mockery, which is
Oh, yeah.
equatable, but
No,
it's
it's
not. It's
Worse.
fucking not.
They just
It's
know
decidedly worse.
Mockery.
Yeah, Mind
Yeah,
Sliver is
of course
way
it is.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they took vicious mockery and then made it better and then gave it away to sorcerers and wizards because they're dicks. It's fine.
Wizards
I'm
of the
not
Master Race,
mad about
baby.
it.
Wizards of the Coast only cares about my class. Fuck you guys.
That is accurate.
That's annoyingly true. Yes. Yes,
Yep.
it is.
Yeah, I know. Nana boo boo. Stick your head in doo
Man,
doo.
I'm gonna run a game. I'm just gonna ban
Wow.
wizards. Fuck wizards.
Oh,
You
I
can't
mean-
ban Dusty. He's too sexy.
Huh.
even the
That's
way you
a
said that,
take.
you didn't have the confidence. You bailed on the sentiment halfway through the sentence.
No, I realized the joke wouldn't play to a decent amount of the crowd.
Gonna say only two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dusty
For context,
literally ate it on
Yeah.
Friday. So
for context, we were playing Truth or Dare,
We
and
also
someone
saw
dared.
his butt.
yeah, we saw his ass.
Someone dared Dusty to do a backflip, and he did a very bad job.
You died off a backflip?
Pretty much. Yeah.
You died off a backflip.
I listened
He didn't
back to
die.
it, and
He
I
ate it as in he fell on his face.
Okay.
yeah, I listened
Let's
back to it, and I
clarify
forgot
that for Cody.
that the punchline actually was you said do a backflip. You didn't say I had to land it. Dumbass, I've always been smarter than you as you're hemorrhaging.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I was proud of myself for that one. That was good. Idiot.
What
Okay.
spells does everybody got?